association with Movember. Effortless shave, magnificent Mo. You can sign up or donate now at Movember.com. Now, let's turn our attention to England and how they're going to get on in the World Cup. I'm delighted to say Clive Allen is with us. Clive, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you. And you?
Well, look, we're interested in how this football is going to play out. What's your level of hope / expectation for this England team at the moment?
Well, I think the group draw's been favourable. They're in a group with USA, Iran and Wales that they can certainly, I think, first and foremost, if they can win, fantastic for the knockout stages. Then I think that could work as well, as long as we win the group. So there's a path already there if we get the right results. So it's going to be a really fascinating group stage. But I think that they've come into it not in the best of form. They'll need to get off to a good start. And as we know, once you get a good start, normally the ball starts rolling. Everybody gets behind the England team, and we start dreaming.
There's been some talk about what formation Gareth Southgate might use, and I don't know if it's again more trying to manifest change, but it's unlikely he's going to make significant changes, is it, over the course of this tournament, from what we've seen in the last two tournaments which have served him so well?
No, I think you're absolutely right. He will stick to the tried and trusted players, first and foremost, the ones that have certainly done well for him in the tournaments. They might not be in good form with their clubs or particularly prominent with their clubs, Maguire as an example. But I think that, Gareth will know what he has. He knows the players. He's worked with them for a long time now. So I think that, he will go for the ones that he can trust in.
It's one of the things that, coming from Ireland, we know that you don't actually have the opportunity to always pick players who are in brilliant form, and players rise to the occasion in international football many times, particularly in a good team dynamic. The corollary to that, though, is that if Harry Maguire starts and makes mistakes early, he'll get absolutely slaughtered in the press, and that'll lead to trouble. So it's very high pressure for Harry Maguire. How does Southgate relieve a little bit of that pressure and make it easier for him to play something close to his best football?
Well, I think just confiding in him that he believes in him. He knows that he's produced in the tournaments before, and I think he'll emphasise all those factors. Certainly, lots of positives and very few, if any, negatives. And Gareth's played there himself. He's had incredible press for missing penalties in big competitions. So he's been there. He knows, or he will understand the way that Harry Maguire's feeling.
It's difficult, isn't it? And it's difficult, I think, for England fans at the moment to feel too much hope, given that they're just a little bit anxious about so many of the players being a little bit, just a tick off, in some cases, their best form. And in Maguire's case, his best form has deserted him.
Yeah, but I do think we've got a lot of players who are very exciting, very much looking forward to a World Cup. You look at some young talent, Foden, Bellingham. Obviously, Maddison's been added to the squad. Grealish, I think, has the ability to be a star in this World Cup. You have a prolific goal scorer in Harry Kane. So the ingredients are there. I think defensively, yes, you would say if England are vulnerable, it is perhaps how the defence play. But I think he'll go for Walker if fit, Stones and Maguire. So I think all the ingredients are there for England to get through the group and progress to the knockout stages. And obviously, once you're there, you never know. We've gone deep into the last couple of big competitions, and I think that experience as well will hold us in good stead.
Are there any omissions from the squad, Clive, that you feel are glaring? Like, I know Ivan Toney stuck the hand up after the squad was named and scored a couple of goals at the weekend, but is there anyone you think should be on the plane?
No, I have to say that I think that Gareth had a difficult problem in selecting or leaving out, not so much selecting, but leaving out players. And that was a nice problem for him to have. I think it's just about the strongest England group, obviously barring the injuries where those players can't travel. But Reece James, for example. But no, I think it's a very, very well-balanced squad.
Is left back an area of concern? Like, I know to win a World Cup or to go deep, I guess you have to have strength and depth. And look, injuries to Ben Chilwell, for example, haven't helped that. But say, for example, Luke Shaw was to pick up a knock or whatever, there does seem to be a lack of depth there. I know Saka has played left wing back at times, and they could play Trippier over there, but he's of course going to be on the right flank if Walker's not fit, so it could be an area of concern maybe.
Yeah, if there's one potential problem area, it might be at left back, but I think that Shaw's done well for England. He was fantastic in the Euros. Obviously, again, the whole competition, it can come down to some injuries and players who are missing during the competition. But I think that Trippier has been absolutely outstanding at Newcastle this season, can play on that left side. It's not his favoured side, but I think he's such a good professional that Gareth will know that he could play him as a left back or left wing back, depending on the the system that he deploys.
I was chatting to Neville Southall recently, and he was, I wouldn't say confident, but certainly felt that Wales could maybe cause an upset of sorts against England in the group. And you look at the United States squad as well, and you think that's fairly strong. And of course, they have the World Cup to host next time around as well. So are there banana skins? I know it's Iran up first, which you'd expect England to get through, but could the USA and Welsh games prove tougher than people think maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the USA squad is very strong. I think, they've gained a lot of experience, players playing throughout Europe, players playing in the Premier League. And I think that they will come very confident. They will look at it first and foremost that they have a realistic opportunity of getting out of the group with England or Wales. I think they would feel that Wales are probably going to be their biggest danger. So, that's going to be very, very interesting. And it could come down to obviously England playing Wales in that last game and England needing to win and Wales needing something, because the US will probably feel confident going into, or could get themselves into a position going into the Iran game last of the group where they will qualify.
Who's your back three?
Well, all fit. Walker, Stones and Maguire would be my three choices. With the wing backs Luke Shaw and certainly on the right side it's up for debate, but I think Trippier is in fantastic form at the moment. So that would be the way I would go with a back five. I think that would be Gareth's preferred way. Certainly
for the big games anyway. He has sometimes used a back four for the games where they expect to be on the front foot and have more of the ball, but you do wonder if that's going to happen or if he'll just go straight away with the back three, given Maguire's form isn't great. Does that then mean that you don't get Bukayo Saka in the team further up, or does he come in instead of, I don't know, maybe Raheem Sterling, whose form isn't great at the moment?
Yeah, quite possibly. I think that is a choice that Gareth has to make between Saka and Sterling. I would have Rice and Bellingham as the two midfield players. I'd like to see Foden playing off of Kane, Saka off the right. And then I think, the options are there for Gareth. I think we'll see it because I think we'll be strong in that first game. Gareth knows he needs to get off to a winning start. Everybody knows that when you're playing in, obviously, a tournament situation. You want a 3-point start to give you a great chance of obviously one winning the group and certainly progressing from the group.
Is this England's strongest squad? I've heard it said, Clive, that some people believe it's their strongest squad since 2006 maybe.
Yeah, I think there's a nice balance. I think there's lots of options. I think there's some versatility in where players can play. And I do think there's a confidence about this England group. They know from experience now, from the last World Cup campaign, the European Championships, that they can go deep into the competitions, and that in itself, I think, will mean that they'll be quietly confident. I don't think they'll be overconfident, but they'll be quietly confident that they can go a long way in this World Cup.
Yeah, that's the one thing, right? It's like, in a way, being beaten in a final, there's so much disappointment and there's a bit of negativity about the decision around the penalties and all that kind of stuff. But they reached the final of a tournament. Like, if they go further, they're obviously going to win something. But people will look back on that as, we're building for something, as opposed to, that was the end, it's a disaster. I guess what I'm saying is that there's a massive overreaction to the 15 minutes or the 5 minutes of the penalty shootout versus actually reaching that point, which is, obviously, as we know, further than England have gone in a very long time.
Absolutely. You look at any successful teams, they as they're building, they have these disappointments. They recover from them. They adapt and they adjust going forward. And then when they get into those situations, they call upon that experience. And I think this England group have done that from obviously World Cup semi-final to European Championships final. And I think everything's been geared up the way that the whole group, not just the individuals, but the whole group, the whole England party, that staff as well, the manager, his staff, all the players that have been in the squads that have experienced it, all the development that has happened in a lot of these players through the young England groups. It's all been geared up to obviously go really well in this competition.
Do you think, win or lose, that this is the end of the road from Southgate's perspective, that actually he's done his time, or do you see a way that actually he stays and takes the team through to the Euros?
No, I can see him carrying on. I think that what he's done with this group of players and how it's developed has been spectacular. The only disappointment is that we couldn't win when we got to that Euro final. But I think that he's done everything he possibly could as the England manager. He's developed himself as well, which has been a great credit to him.
If you'd asked most people 12 months ago, Clive, will Marcus Rashford be even in the squad, never mind, someone who could well be a starting player in the big games for England at this tournament, I'd have said you were crazy. But he's all of a sudden coming into some sort of form, getting plenty of game time at United as well. So from that perspective, a Marcus Rashford on form is a really, really dangerous thing for England.
Absolutely, and England need him alongside Harry Kane, or as an option for Harry Kane. Marcus Rashford, the footballer, I think has reinvented himself at Manchester United. You can see the confidence in his game. I think his focus has been really, really good, and that bodes well for England and Marcus Rashford in this World Cup.
James Maddison was an interesting inclusion. There was nervous moments as well, I guess, when he picked up the hamstring injury last weekend. But of course, it's only a minor problem. Adds a bit of something different, I guess, to that England attack, and a threat from set pieces as well, Clive, which, look, who knows, might be important.
Yeah, definitely. Those moments in games that can make the difference. I think we have the potential of a number of those players: Maddison, Grealish, Foden. I think Bellingham gives us a goal-scoring attacking option from midfield. Saka, again, grew through the Euros, was fantastic. So I think there's lots of potential match winners, which in a tournament situation is what you need. Games can be tight. It can be moments that make the difference, and I think that Gareth has a number of options for those occasions.
Which theory do you subscribe to when it comes to penalties? Do you practice? Do you over practice? Do you not look at them? Is it hard to replicate the pressure of a penalty shootout regardless? There's not much point, or just leave it to each individual player? Or how do you think they should or will approach that?
Well, it's a very difficult one because you're an individual in that situation. Obviously, you go to take those penalty kicks with your thoughts in your mind. Some players like to practice. Some players practice every day after training for 5-10 minutes. There can be generic sessions where the whole group will practice. I think that England did their preparations for the penalty kicks through the Euros, and they came good. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if that routine isn't continued. There'll be attention to detail that games could come down to penalty kicks, and I think England will be well prepared.
What do you think is going to happen, Clive? What's your instinct about where this is going to go for England now?
I think England will get to the semi-finals. I think that, and if they get to the semi-finals, then anything can happen. It is getting that far. Obviously, there'll be a surprise team along the way. There'll be a surprise result. We know that's going to happen, but I think that England know what they need to do. And the deeper they go into the competition, I think the more the belief grows. And again, as I say, they will draw on the experience they've had over the last 4 years that could pay big dividends for them.
Sterling and Luke Shaw were kind of two key standout performers for them in the last tournament. Is there anybody unexpected that you think might step up and actually be very important for England over the next month?
Oh, for me, Jude Bellingham. We know of Jude Bellingham, but watching him play for Dortmund, Champions League, and now for England, I think he's an outstanding talent. I think he dovetails really well with Declan Rice. He's an attacking midfield player who can score goals, and that could be something that could make the difference. Obviously, England, you look at England, you're always going to be identifying Harry Kane to stop him getting chances, getting opportunities. But I think Bellingham could play a massive part. If Jude Bellingham has a big World Cup, England could go very close to winning it.
I don't know if you've seen any of the videos of the England fans, some accusations of some fake fandom over there at the minute in Qatar, Clive. A lot of I guess locals wearing England jerseys, and I suppose the England fans from over in England haven't really travelled over just yet, but it's going to be a strange World Cup from many perspectives.
Yes, it will, but I think we have to focus on the games, the competition, the world's coming together. In a weird way, it's going to be one of the fairest World Cups I think we'll see, in respect that the grounds are all around Doha. There's not travelling. You're not travelling thousands of miles to go into altitude or then back below sea level. And then I think that all the ingredients are for a very fair World Cup. Pitches will be the same. The climate is going to be exactly the same for all the players. They come into the tournament having been 6 months into their domestic seasons. Yes, players pick up injuries, but you do when you're playing your league campaigns anyway. But I think it's going to be a fascinating and a very enjoyable World Cup.
Clive, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Cheers.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers.
It's Clive Allen giving us some thoughts there from the England perspective. 6 minutes past